What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Manic Geek. I hope you're all doing well out there. Today, we are going to talk about cable coils, specifically how to make them in your own cables. If you remember my recent review of the Womer K66 mechanical keyboard, I mentioned that this comes with a 6-foot long cable. And while that's not entirely uncommon for a keyboard to have a relatively lengthy cable, for the way I do my personal setup, that is extremely long, and there's really no way to clean that up in any way that looks good on your desk outside of using like a Velcro strap or something to tie all the cables together, and that just doesn't look quite as good. So what we're going to be doing today is going over sort of my third attempt at making my own cable coils. Now, those of you that follow me on my Twitter account probably have seen pictures of the first two attempts that I made on my daily driver for my editing machine. The KTKL is the keyboard I use for that. And that also similarly had a 6-foot long braided cable. Well, after I added the coil, it got extremely short. Matter of fact, with the coil relaxed, this cable is only about 13 inches long now, as opposed to the 6 feet it was, or 60 inches. Now bear in mind, this is just gonna be my personal experience with a cable coil here. Your individual mileage is going to vary. First and foremost is the cylinder that you use to make the cable coil. Now, before I go any further with this video, I'm actually going to direct you to a link that I have down in the video's description to a video that I used to learn how to even do this in the first place. But just for reference for this video, I'm using a metal rod that has about a 1.5 centimeter or 15 millimeter outer diameter to it. Remember, the outer diameter of whatever cylinder that you're using to wrap your cable to make the coil is going to directly impact how short that will make your cable based on the length of the coil that you're making. And since I'm using a setup that's utilizing a Tilted Nation Scorpio mouse bungee and USB hub, I really don't need a particularly long cable for my setup. So I went with about a 4-inch, 5-inch long coil in my KTKL to get it to this length. And we do, of course, have a test set up to see exactly how this is all going to shape up after it's all said and done, comprised of course, the Womer K66 that I reviewed, Gamer's Nexus mouse mat, the Tilted Nation Scorpio mouse bungee and USB hub, and a Moto Speed V70 that I'm taking a look at right now for some future content, so stay tuned for that. Anyway, I suppose let's get this cable unplugged and get to making the coil. All right, so if I recall correctly, I taped this cable down about 2 inches or so out from the base. So we're gonna take some electrical tape, and you wanna be really, really liberal with your use of electrical tape when you're tying this down, because this cable needs to stay in place when you make your coils. Now, what I've personally been doing is wrapping the cable about 4 times over the spot where I want to keep it tied down, and you want to make sure that the tape is as taut as possible when you're doing that. All right, now here's the part that will make or break the coil. The wind that you're going to do around the cylinder that you're using. Now, you want to make sure that your coil is as consistent and tightly grouped as possible, because if this cable loses tension on the cylinder that you're using to make the coil, it's not going to look 100%. And as you may be seeing on the screen right now, some photos of the coil for my GMMK cable, there are some inconsistencies with it, and that's because my grouping and the tightness of each of the winds that I was making wasn't 100% on this. Again though, remember, that was just my second attempt at making a coil, and honestly, after having done this even the 2 times I have mad respect for the people that do this professionally. This is extremely hard on your hands. Oh, this hurts so much. All right, we've got a fair amount wound up now. Let's move that out of the way. See about how long our coil is so far. All right, we are at about 2.5 inches so far, so we got about another 1.5 or 2 inches to go before we're done with this particular coil. Oh, God, that hurts so much. If you're asking yourself why exactly this is hurting my hand like it is, honestly, it's mostly just you have to maintain tension of this cable the entire time you're winding it up. And when you're just having like a full force grip on something like that in the same position for an extended period of time, guitarists aside, that's gonna cause a lot of pain just from your muscles fatiguing and everything like that. Oh, 3¼ inches, we're so close. Now, bear in mind, those of you that have pre-existing medical conditions like rheumatoid arthritis or something like that, it's likely you're not gonna be able to do this by hand yourself. You may have to enlist the help of a friend to do something like this with your cables. And we are there, 4 inches. All right, so this is the challenging part. Here's where you have to tape down the other end of the cable, but you need to do it while also maintaining tension on the rest of the coil. Again, this part will make or break the quality of the coil that you end up with as your final product. All right, now see, as I started to tie this down, I don't know if you can really see it in the camera, but there's a lot of slack at the end of this cable, so I'm gonna need to undo this electrical tape, get some of the sweat off of my hands, and redo these last couple of coils just to make sure these last few don't turn out strange. All right, so that's a little bit better. The last few coils are still a little loose, so I'm gonna see if I can wiggle this around in the electrical tape a little bit more and then get it tightened down elsewhere in this wrap so that I can get a move on with making the coil stick. All right, well, I think that's probably about as good as we're gonna get this coil for right now. I'd say that looks pretty damn tight most of the way across, and it looks pretty evenly gapped too. I think this is gonna turn out really good. Now, next thing you're going to need for this process is some kind of heat source. A heat gun obviously is the preferred solution here. You can get away with something like a hair dryer if it gets hot enough, but my first attempt at a cable coil used a hair dryer, and I really didn't like how that turned out. I felt like it wasn't generating quite enough heat to get the cables to loosen up enough so that when they cool after applying heat, that it kept a tight enough coil. So I'll go ahead and link down in the video's description the heat gun that I'm using. It's not super expensive. It has some granular adjustments to the temperature. Probably the one thing that I like about this the least is that it doesn't show you specifically what temperature setting you're using. You have to kind of, just guess, kind of. There, you can see from low to high, but again, no temperature measurements on this. But it definitely did the job really well for this last cable that I made here. So yeah, I can go ahead and recommend this, especially if this is something that you've never done before and you're not sure if you want to continue to do this. This is a really inexpensive option. Now, before I turn this on, I also want to mention, when you're holding this coil over the heat gun, you don't want to get this cable any closer than about 1 inch or so away from the tip of the heat gun, because if you get it much closer than that, especially if you're using some kind of sleeved cable, you run the possibility of damaging or melting the sleeving on the outside, or even the insulation for the cable itself. So you just want to be mindful of that. Try not to get it too close to it. Again, about 1 inch away is fine. And here we go. Now, before you actually get started, you do want to let this run for a little bit to make sure that it's reaching the temperature you had it set to. Then you can start slowly turning this and running it across the heat source to make sure that you're getting even heat spread across all points of the coil. All right, so basically what you're looking for to tell you that you're done is that the cable feels evenly heat soaked across the entirety of the cable. You want it to get hot, but again, not so hot that you're melting the insulation or any of the sleeving on the outside. And this feels pretty heat soaked. Now, what I was doing was rotating this rod about 1/8 of a turn at a time and slowly running over the heat source to make sure that I was getting even coverage over the coil. Whether or not this is the method I'm gonna personally wind up sticking to is up for debate right now. I have to do this a few more times, but so far I seem to be finding good results for that. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna set this off to the side for right now and let this cool down for a little bit. Now what we're gonna be looking for is making sure that the cable is no longer heat soaked, that it's reached basically room temperature. Then we're gonna take off the electrical tape and fingers crossed, it turned out all right. All right, so been about half an hour since I let this sit and cool, and from touch, this has definitely reached ambient temperature. So here's the moment of truth. We are going to undo the taped ends at either end of this cable and see how the coil turned out. All right, so let's see what we're working with here. That does not look great at all. As a matter of fact, that looks pretty damn terrible. But I'm gonna bring it in close and film some B-roll after I film this bit and show you all how this turned out and discuss what may have gone wrong here, because this just looks hilariously bad. So just holding the cable up, we can see that there are several spots in the coil where this is just not super even at all. More than likely what happened was, again, my hands were very sweaty, my grip wasn't great on the cable and the cylinder that I was using. It's likely I did not have this as tense around the cylinder as I could have. It's also possible I may not have been using the correct heat setting, or I may not have exposed this to heat for a long enough period of time. That's going to create inconsistencies in your coil as well. But let's see if at the very least, functionally, this is doing what we need it to do. Yeah, I mean, functionally, it worked. It shortened the cable, but it still looks like smacked ass. Now, the beauty of this is you don't have to just leave it like this and assume that's it, you're done, you can never do this again. The cable for my GMMK TKL, I've done twice already, and the cable is still working, the insulation on it is fine, the sleeving on the outside of it is fine. And clearly, I still have a lot of work to do to get really consistent and good with this. Again, down in the video's description, link to a video where I learned how to do this, and again, practice makes perfect. You're gonna have botched attempts like this, especially when you're dealing with different gauges of wiring each time. Every cable is gonna be just a little bit different. Don't be discouraged if you don't get it right the first time. Again, practice makes perfect. So anyway, that's gonna wrap it up for this one. Thank you for coming on this unfortunately failed journey with me this time. Toss the video a thumbs up if you liked what you saw. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and the bell icon to make sure you're notified every time I put up fresh content for you. And I'll catch you all next time. So take it easy.